everybody, and welcome to the Bob Stoops app. I'm Brad McMullen, along with Hall of Fame football coach Bob Stoops, and a big week for Oklahoma as they'll be in prime time taking on Big 12 nemesis Iowa State, and this should be a fun one in Norman. Kickoff 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Coach, first your thoughts on the Cincinnati game and OU starting out 4-0 with that victory.
I really liked how we played. I thought being on the road, the first Big 12 game, only giving up 6 points, defense, and for a couple times got put in some tough spots or might have given up a play, but immediately they responded, got stops, were great on third and fourth down. I want to say it's 3 out of 15 or 14 on third down, and they held them 3 out of 4 times on fourth down. That's big. And so that's some great play there. And thought offensively, we played well. I think, the one turnover in the red zone, Dylan will learn from that. Got popped, wasn't ready for it. But he had a good game, another good game on the road, had a lot of good throws, missed a couple big opportunities. And I know our fan base gets a little spoiled with some of the number one picks and Heisman guys that we've had that we rarely miss them, but that's going to happen on occasion. But he still had a really solid, good football game, and thought we could run the ball maybe a little better, clean up a little bit of some assignments there, or, find a way to make a guy miss, one-on-one. I know Coach DeMarco Murray and those guys always believe you can win most of your one-on-one battles, and we've got to be able to do that. So, but overall, really a good positive win.
And you got the best of Cincinnati, right? The largest crowd in the history. The players were, it was a big game.
And that's how it is when we show up. Now, I used to tell our guys that all the time. Look, you can watch tape and watch maybe a lackluster performance against whoever. But when we show up, the crowd's going to be full. The stadium's going to be full. It'll be a sellout. And people look at us differently. They got a chance to make their mark by beating us. So be ready for it. Be prepared for it.
And defensively, how can you? This is awesome territory right here. The 2023 Sooners in the first 4 games have only given up a grand total of 34 points, which is the best, by the way, scoring defense at Oklahoma in 30 years. That's pretty impressive for 4 games.
It's very impressive, and I don't care who you're playing against, because other years we have given up plays. And even sometimes, too, we've had these big leads and the backups get in. I've had many of those years. The backups get in and they have breakdowns, have a bust, miss an assignment, and let a guy run free. And I used to pull my hair out on those occasions, and we're not having that. So it just tells you, too, that we've got a good, solid 2 deep, and in some places 3 deep, that guys can go in there and play winning football.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, Oklahoma hosting Iowa State. The point spread right now, 19 points. Oklahoma is favored. Coach, how do you think the Sooners will do?
I'm excited to watch us. I really think we're going to keep this going. First, or our Big 12 game of the season here at home. I know our fans will be excited and ready for it. 6 o'clock game, everybody will have plenty of time to get tuned up, whatever that means for you. And looking forward, I really believe we're going to play well. I think in all phases we'll continue to play well. And I think I'm anxious. I just feel as time goes, our run game is going to pick up and pop, sooner or later as well.
I agree. I love Oklahoma in this game. I think they're going to be excited about getting to play at home at night. I think the crowd will be great. Yet another sellout as we continue that incredible streak since 1999 of selling out every single home football game. I also think there are going to be a lot of recruits on hand, right? Put on a good show.
Absolutely. Yeah, there always is here lately, and they're recruiting at a really high level. It's fun to watch and see. And so, really looking forward to the game. And I think offensively the big key will be patience. They play that soft 3-3-5 and loose coverage, and it's one that you have to really be smart. Dylan have to be smart. Take what's there. Take what they're giving you. Don't get greedy. And the way they play with that loose coverage, you got to be able to run the football a little bit too.
Yeah, and a great defensive test ahead of the big Red River rivalry game, which will take place of obviously a week from Saturday. And we do know that OU Texas will kick off at 11 a.m. yet again.
Big surprise there.
Big surprise. But it should be a lot of fun, and we'll talk about Texas here in a second. But I want to remind everybody that on Tuesday, October 3rd, so next Tuesday, we'll be doing the show live from the Norman Public Library, and you can get tickets by going to the Norman Chamber of Commerce website. Love to see you there. We're going to be talking about all the big matchups in that game. And of course, get some great memories from Coach Stoops on some big, big games. And I still think Quentin Griffin is still scoring, Coach.
Q, what a day he had. That was a fond memory of, earlier in the year, some of the games we were up and down. I thought we were getting better, we were getting better. And all of a sudden, we just caught fire in that game that led us through the rest of the year. But I can remember 10 minutes to go in the 42-7. And I got on the headphones with all the coaches, and I said, hey, you know what, boys, we're pretty good. So I finally, you were thinking you were, and all of a sudden you explode in that game. I'm like, yep, we're pretty decent.
Yeah, that was amazing. All right, so speaking of the Texas Longhorns, they're going to be at home hosting a very good Kansas Jayhawks team. Kansas 4-0, quietly undefeated. Texas a big 17-point favorite at home against the Jayhawks.
I think that's going to be a really tight game. I'm not going to pick Kansas to win, but I take the points. I think they're playing really good. I've been really impressed with everything I've watched. Defensive performances have been tough. Offense, their quarterback is really making plays. And they do a really good job scheming people. So I'm impressed all around coaching and everything they're doing. And I am Texas as well. I just don't I don't feel they'll cover that, and that's just my feeling. And and everyone went crazy about the win over Alabama, in the first week or second week, whatever it was, and it's proven to be, well, they're struggling a little bit. They're not their usual self at quarterback, and that makes a difference.
I agree with you 100%. And this is not a slight to Texas. I think Texas is a great football team. I just think Kansas is that much better. And just a few years ago, an awful Kansas Jayhawks team went to Texas and beat them. This Kansas team is really, really good. I mean, they are.
Exactly.
They've got a talented quarterback that will help stretch the field. I think that's going to be a difference maker. I do not believe Kansas is going to win the football game. But I think 17 points is a lot. And right or wrong, I know that the coaches at the University of Texas have nothing but respect about Kansas and will say till they're blue in the face and mean it that Kansas is a very, very good football team. What I have the question is, will the 18, the 19, and the 20-year-olds that are being told all week long, you're going to kill this team, they're not any good, I can't wait for the OU game, I can't wait for the Cotton Bowl, oh, this is going to be so much fun. I think that's why you're going to have a very close game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I all those reasons are very valid, and I agree with you.
All right, talking about the other big games this weekend, a Friday night kickoff between Utah and Oregon State. Interesting, Oregon State got beat by Washington State, but we know Oregon State's still a good team. They're going to be at home, but Utah has been lights out in their first four games of the year, 4-0, coming in at number 10 in the country.
Yeah, I agree. I really like Utah, the physicality they play with. Kyle Whittingham has them always playing physical, playing tough, and they've looked good. I'm not sure he's been playing yet.
He may play this weekend.
Yeah,
he may play this weekend.
But yeah, they've been doing it without him because of their ability to run and smart football play. Oregon State is better, so. But what is the line on that game?
Oregon State is favored by 3 points at home against undefeated.
I'm going with Utah. They're defending champs the last couple of years. They'll take that to heart.
Yeah, I love Utah in this game. One of these things that Lee Corso says, somebody somewhere knows something. I just look at the plain numbers. Utah's a better football team. They're the defending champs of the conference. They've played big road games, winning at Florida a year ago. I just feel like this is a better football team. I just think Utah's better.
Agreed.
And they're actually getting healthier. And if they get Cam Rising back, they're even better. But now they have a quarterback that has won 4 straight games, so they're not having to introduce somebody to the offense. I love Utah in this game. All right, USC.
Yeah, they've been in that moment a lot. Yeah. So
they're not going to be intimidated by the prime time of being in the lights on the road. That's for sure. All right, speaking of prime time. He's at home, Colorado, the Buffaloes hosting Lincoln Riley and the Trojans. The Buffaloes are a 25-point underdog in one sportsbook, a 22-point underdog in another, a 21.5-point underdog in another. A lot of people love USC against Colorado. What are your thoughts?
I love them against them, too. I think Oregon showed some of the maybe flaws or weaknesses on defense overall. Listen, I'm all for what Coach Prime is doing and the way he's doing it. And it may be different or unconventional of what people are used to, but that doesn't mean that there's nothing wrong with being your own guy. And he's been his own guy too long not to be. So good for him. But some of these teams are just, they've had stronger rosters overall and have been together. And I think what Coach Riley's doing there, and as much as anything, Caleb Williams, he's the X factor. And as good as Shedeur Sanders has been, it's going to be a while until he's that caliber of player with Caleb. But, and he may be a little, from what I understand, I don't know for sure. So that all matters. And, what Lincoln's doing with that team, they're playing well. They're still, I think, are having some difficulty defensive wise. So Colorado might be able to keep, make their share of points to keep it close, and that would be the only way, guy. But I do think offensively, USC is going to put up a bunch of points.
Yeah, I look at this game the same way. I think you've got Caleb Williams. You have an explosive offense. You have better talent on USC than you do on Colorado. Colorado reminds me a lot of last year's Oklahoma team, where they can compete with anybody. They're going to be well coached. They're not going to lose the locker room, but because they're young in some areas and because they have some deficiency in some positions and some injuries, it can affect the outcome. And last week you didn't have Travis Hunter. And Oklahoma last year against Texas and TCU, if you didn't have Dylan Gabriel, it made an impact. And Travis Hunter
is a big difference.
Best player on the field for Colorado. That's not just my thoughts. Look at the NFL draft. You're talking about a top 10 talent in the draft, not on the field playing both positions. That makes a big difference. And I just feel without him, they're just not as good of a football team. But I will say this, that I was really surprised last week at how poorly USC's defense played against Arizona State, who was starting a backup quarterback. I was just really surprised by that performance.
I agree, and that makes a difference. Backup quarterback, Arizona State hasn't been lighting it up. Yeah. Been pretty average that way, and then, they hung around. So, if everybody's healthy with Colorado, they've got a chance to hang around as well. But I think that's the big part of this is who's going to be healthy for them to play. If they're all healthy, then they got to stick around and close that gap with the point spread.
Yep. Yeah, I think USC is going to win. I think USC is going to win on the road. I think the crowd will be a little bit of a factor. I like them to stay within 25, though. How about that? Just because that's what SC has done here lately. Yep. All right, other game in the on the board right now, Florida at Kentucky. Your brother quietly 4-0, no love, not ranked in the top 25. How can Mark not be ranked in the top 25? And they are favored by 1 point against Florida.
Yeah, I like what Mark's doing. I still think they've got more to come offensively. Defensively, they've been really strong. They got out to a big lead last week and gave up some points late. But overall, they've really played good that way. And offensively, it's been a little bit inconsistent. But that's not unusual in your first few games, with the new quarterback. And I really feel they'll start to hit their stride. And, feel good that they'll be able to win and cover this game. And I think Kentucky's got a lot of good things going right now.
All right, Georgia Bulldogs, number one team in the country, 4-0, traveling to Auburn. Auburn 3-1. Georgia favored by 15 points.
Yeah, I haven't. Georgia, of course, you got to pick to win, but to cover the points, I can't say that I've seen enough of the two teams to have a good opinion. Georgia lost all that talent and, that great quarterback from a year ago, Stetson Bennett. I just thought what an incredible player through college. So I'm a little unsure whether, how to pick that game, to be honest with you.
I agree with you. And then you saw the way Georgia played against South Carolina in that first half. You just don't know what team's going to show up and if the crowd's going to be in there at Auburn. Obviously, I'm not a gambler, but I would stay away from that. I don't know. There's something. I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia won big, and I wouldn't be surprised if the game was close, right?
Yeah.
So those are those games you run away from.
That means stay away. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, LSU traveling to Ole Miss. LSU 3-1 on the season. The Rebels 3-1 after dropping to Alabama last week. LSU favored on the road by 3 points.
Oh, man, they've been up and down,
Both teams.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For sure. LSU has looked bad, but then they've looked good. I picked them a week ago to lose, and then they beat the heck out of who was Mississippi State.
Yes.
And so I'm a little confused there. But where's the game? It's in LSU?
No, it's at Ole Miss. It's in Oxford.
Then I'm going to go with Ole Miss.
Yeah,
the Lane Kiffins and they've shown some good play for a good part of the year.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in that game. This is another one where I just almost want to run from it because you see the LSU team play at the beginning of that Florida State game and you're like, this team is awesome. And then the second half and you're like, well, this team's not very good. And then last week they looked fantastic against Mississippi State. You just wonder how those teams are going to play. But I think LSU can win on the road, but I would not be surprised if Ole Miss played very, very well. All right, this is a game that I really want to get your insight on. Ohio State, Notre Dame, they had such an unbelievable game. Notre Dame, I hate to say it, just fell apart in the last minute of the game, lost. Ohio State has all this momentum. Now Notre Dame's got to go on the road at Duke, who pounded Clemson at home. Notre Dame is favored by 6 points. Undefeated Duke waiting for Notre Dame. Can they get up 2 weeks in a row?
Wow. I can't wait to watch it. I'm a big fan of Marcus Freeman. I don't know him that well, but just watching what they're doing the last couple of years. And I thought they played a hell of a game against Ohio State. And I thought, rather than fall apart, I thought that McCord for Ohio State grew up in that fourth quarter.
I agree.
I mean, he all but matured and, young guy, first time starting, and boom, by the second half and in the fourth quarter, he did what he had to do, and you got to give it to him. So I was skeptical that he'd be able to do it. Yeah. And Ryan Day, he's an excellent play caller, excellent head coach. So they just had a great drive when they had to have it. I wish Notre Dame would have had their 11th guy on the field.
Yeah.
And I was sitting watching it in a joint with a bunch of my family, in the evening. And as soon as they took the line of scrimmage, I go, they don't have anybody on the right side of their D-line. The two guys were standing up. That's it. And I'm like, they're short a guy. Sure enough, they were. But anyhow, I'm going to take Notre Dame just to the pride of that school and their program, Marcus Freeman, what they're doing. That they'll be able to get it done.
I agree with you, and there's every part of my gut that says go with that home team, Duke. All the momentum, all the excitement. They're going to have one of the largest crowds they've ever had for this game. They beat Clemson at home. They're ready for another big game. I go with you. I think Marcus Freeman's going to get everybody in the room and say, hey, it's us against the world. If you think this is a weak team we're going to play, it's Duke on the schedule. Let me tell you, this is a 4-0 ranked Duke team, and we want your best. And I think that defeat that they got, that taste, they couldn't wait to get out on the field. Those great teams, they want to play the next day. They don't want to wait.
Exactly.
And I think
they don't sit around and sulk and let them get them again, usually anyway. And I think, too, being on the field with Notre Dame a couple of times, they're one of the largest, biggest teams that I've played against in my 18 years as a head coach. I mean, they got the physicality, the size and strength that most teams don't have. Yep. And I believe that'll make a difference to some degree.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, our final game that we're going to pick here today, we've got South Carolina taking on Tennessee. South Carolina up and down this year, 2-2 on the season. Tennessee 3-1, but they've kind of been up and down this year as well. Tennessee is favored by 12.5 points. If you remember last year, South Carolina obliterated Tennessee when Tennessee looked like they were going to be a playoff team. I think they're going to get some revenge at home this year. You've played there. I mean, you've coached there. You know what it's like at Tennessee when Vol Nation's there and it's sold out. It's a loud crowd.
Yeah, I've got to go with Tennessee really because of the home field advantage. Yeah. And the fact that they'll have something to prove from a year ago. That doesn't go away. But, Spencer Rattler and what they're doing at South Carolina, you never know. But they've had a couple bad games here this year. Yeah. So they may not be quite as strong as they were a year ago. Shane Beamer does an awesome job, but I'm going to go with Tennessee in that just for the revenge factor and at home.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, the key there for Shane Beamer is if he can get his team to play like they did against that first half against Georgia and protect the football, Spencer gets some time to actually throw the football, they can win this football game. But if they play like they did in the second half where they give him no time, they're just going to have a really long day there in Knoxville.
That's what it's going to be about, is giving Spencer some time. And if they don't have it, it's going to be tough.
Amen. Well, thanks so much for listening today. We are so happy to have everyone downloading the Bob Stoops app. Don't forget, you can look at our home screen. There's that share button. If you know a Sooner fan or a college football fan in general, share this app with them so they can download it and, of course, listen to the show each and every week. And we want to invite you again next week on October 3rd. We're going to be live at the Norman Public Library at 11:30 in the morning with the Norman Chamber of Commerce talking all about OU Texas. So it's going to be so much fun. Exciting. The Red River rivalry is back, and we'll be breaking down that big game again next Tuesday live, 11:30 in the morning at the Norman Public Library. Again, you can get your tickets by going to the Norman Chamber of Commerce website. We hope to see you there. For Coach Stoops, I'm Brad McMullen saying so long, everybody. Have a great week of college football.